Hi guys, we're going to be looking at a quick review of basically all things equation. So I'm not bothering with one-step equations in this exercise activity. It's basically do the opposite and get rid of it, which you'll see here. Now, in these problems you will see standard equation, variables usually on one side, and things around the variable. Your goal is to get the variable completely by itself. And little notes, 7 minus 7b minus 21. We get rid of things by doing the opposite. We have to think about what math is happening there. We also want to pay attention to, it doesn't matter what side the variable's on. It doesn't. Some math teachers prefer it on one side or the other. I don't really care. Most math teachers don't, honestly. So if you want to rewrite it with the equals 7 on the other side, so it was like this, that's fine. Me, personally, I don't bother. Why go through the extra effort of rewriting it? Because oftentimes I rewrite things for no reason. I make mistakes. So, opposites. I look at it one term at a time. These are the terms that are around the variable. I want to get rid of the numbers around the variable. I'm going to start with terms that feature no variables. So this is just a minus 21. The way we get rid of a minus is a positive. So I add 21 to both sides. And okay, that's 28 equals negative 7b. Now, someone somewhere is going to say, plus 7! Don't do that, guys. Think about it. This negative 7 is doing what to the b? And the answer is, whenever a variable is being touched by a number or another variable, they're multiplying. So we will divide both sides by not just a 7, but a negative 7. Because whatever the number that's the coefficient or the number in front of your variable, you're going to divide by that to get it to go away. Fractions are a little different. We'll look at that in a second. So I'm going to divide off that negative 7 on both sides. And I get, okay, 28 divided by 7 is 4. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. And that equals b. Because this negative and that 7 cancel. So negative 4 equals b. This is the idea of a two-step equation. There's two things to be done. So I type in negative 4, I hit submit, I go yes, I go yay. This should be autopilot. New problem, new thing. Again, boom, 14 plus 2r equals 2. Oh, sorry, it's a negative 14. Oh, I'm gonna do, this is my two terms. I want to ignore the ones with the variable for the moment and deal with the ones that don't have a variable. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides. Yay. And I would get, all these guys would cancel. 16 over here equals 2r. Divide both sides by a 2. Don't know why my pen's bugging out. Cancels the 2 there, and I get r is equal to 8. Please note, if a variable starts capitalized or lowercase, it should stay that way. This isn't such a big deal in math, but in things like physics, it's a really big deal, because big G and little g are different. So, okay, r equals 8. Yay, 8. Submit that answer. Yes, done. I was right. Now, these problems aren't showing me what do I do if I have a fraction on that variable. Fractions are the same. They're math. You add, subtract, multiply, divide them. But let's say we had, 3 plus 3/4 x. And that equaled, I don't know, 15. I would do it the same way. Deal with the number that doesn't have a variable first. And then I would get, okay, that's a 3/4 x equals 12. Now, what we're dealing with here is I need my variable to have that fraction gone. We could divide both sides by 3/4. That is correct. but we could also do what's called multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is the exact same number, but upside down. It's flipped. This is just a shortcut to save us division time. And we would do the same thing to the other side. I'd put that other one over 1, and I'd go ahead and start doing it. Now, you guys should be familiar with cross-canceling. If you're not, you need to remember that if you see the number cross from each other in fractions on a diagonal, and they're multiplying, you can get rid of it. Because if I multiplied the denominator by a 3, I'd then simplify it by a 3 later. I'm saving effort by crossing it out. Here, I'll even make your lives pretty easier, and we'll do a nice pretty red. And then the 4s would do the same thing. So that variable is just alone now. Equals, over here I'd do the same thing. 3 and 12 can both be divided by the number 3. So that's a 4, and that's gone. 4 times 4 is 16. That's kind of how you deal with fractions around variables. Decimals, you just multiply or divide the decimal. It's a bit of a nuisance, but it's pretty doable. Now, onward to 3-step equations. The big thing that most 3-step equations have, unless they have distribution going on, is there's a variable on both sides. Well, negative x plus 3 equals negative 6x minus 22. That's my equation. I always want the variable on one side. There is no debate about it. There's never an option. To solve this problem, all the x's have to be on one side. So I'm just going to take care of that. I like to move the smaller variable, which in this problem is negative 6, because negative 6 is smaller than a negative 1. I do the opposite to move it. It's just like a number, guys. Add 6 to both sides, or 6x, I should say. And I get 3 equals, 5x plus 3 equals a negative 22. Well, that's it. Now, normal equation. Minus 3 on both sides. 5x equals a negative 25. Divide both sides by 5. You guys probably saw this a minute ago, but x equals negative 5. Done. I reach over, grab my controls, and I go negative 5. Oops, that's a decimal, not a negative. Negative 5. Submit. Yes, done. Great. Same idea. This problem's the exact same thing. I have two variables. You're going to move one. You're going to move the other number. You're going to divide by whatever the number in front of the variable is, or coefficient, and be done. So just like I said, 5x minus 1 equals x plus 27. I'm going to subtract that x off both sides because it's a 1x. Giving me a 4x minus 1 equals 27. Add 1 to both sides. And get 4x, equals 28. Divide both sides by 4. And we've ditched that 4 and we get x equals 7. This is the kind of thing we're facing. It's not a big deal. Could you have subtracted the 5x up here? Oops, sorry. Yeah, you could have. You would have had a negative 4x. You would have subtracted and you would have ended up with the same answer. It makes no difference. I just do it this way because I like not having negatives. That's it. So that's 3 steps. So you can see I did 1, 2, 3 things. 3 steps, guys. Straightforward. Mathematicians. We're not creative at naming. So, linear equations of distribution. You guys know how to rock and roll this. The first thing I need to do is distribute. Now, distribution is multiplying that number. If we had something like 2 parentheses 3 plus 4, we wouldn't distribute here. I'd go 3 plus 4, that's 7, and 2 times 7 is 14. But up here, what is 4z plus 9? I don't know. Don't know. It could be 2. It could be 17 million. It could be 3.1. No one knows. We don't know at this point. So we leave it alone. So to have something we can do, we distribute. That's pretty much going, hey, if I do this, I might be able to make some progress on this problem and solve it. Otherwise, I'm stuck. So 2 times 4z, that's 8z. Yes, my z's are crossed. Plus 2 times 9 is 18 equals 34. Do the usual solving thing. Minus 18. 8z. Sorry, I'm getting a little crooked. Equals, well, what's 34 minus 18? 16. Divide both sides by an 8. And we get z equals 2. Done. Distribution adds to it, but doesn't add a bunch. And you should be pretty familiar with this. Those are all the things you have to do on this assignment with equations. You should be okay. Remember, contact me or Mr. Tibbetts if you're one of Mr. Tibbetts' students. Emails, phone. We gave you the Google Voice numbers. We have the drop-in tutorings on Wednesday. You guys can handle this. This is honestly in here for review because it's a super important skill that you will need to know. You do not pass high school math without equations. It was worth doubling back for on what is your last assignment of the math enrichment year. So, go ahead, get it done, guys. Be well.